Hello, welcome. In this video, we will discuss uh, 20th November 2020 Hindu analysis. And let's look at the article. First, we will discuss the important priority articles and then we will go to the brief discussion of the paper. First is APEC, stands for Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation. Recently, the Chinese President Xi Jinping attended the meeting and says about the free trade provided by the China in this perspective of the region. And coming into the article, APEC is an intergovernmental forum with the 21 member economies. Remember, 21 member economies, not 21 members. In the Pacific Rim promotes free trade throughout the Asia Pacific. For the promotion of the free trade, the Asia Pacific is a group of 21 member economies. That's why APEC is primarily an economic cooperation council formed for the free trade. With the success of the Asian nations in 1980s, the APEC started with the influence of the Asian and the success of the Asian in 1989 as need for the trade blocs in the Asia Pacific region. It aimed to establish new market for the agriculture products and raw materials beyond the Europe region. That's why a new strategic area of Asia Pacific has been emerged for this trade, and it is headquartered in Singapore. And APEC recognized as one of the highest level multilateral blocs and oldest forums in the region of the Asia Pacific. The APEC has 3 official observers apart from 21 member economies. These are Asian Secretariat, Pacific Economic Cooperation Council, and Pacific Island Forum Secretariat. Coming to the same-sex marriages, this was in news because the same-sex marriage was in news because the Delhi High Court asked the center to submit some of the directions regarding the same-sex unions under the Hindu Marriage Act and Special Marriage Act, and made the orders regarding this and compulsory amendments in this perspective. According to the section 5 of the Hindu Marriages Act, which says two Hindus can able to marriage. The does not talk about the sexual orientation in the Hindu Marriages Act. That's why there will be no restriction upon the sexual orientation. That's why they are saying that same-sex marriage will be allowed. If opposed, the same-sex marriage is opposed, it is based on the sexual orientation, opposition based on sexual orientation, then it is against the fundamental right of Article 14, that is right to equality. That's why to afford the right to equality, you have to allow the same-sex marriages under the legality of these acts, and any act cannot be made based on discriminate based on the sexual orientation, they said. And coming to the background of this article, section 377 of the Indian Penal Code, which was effective from the 19th century, which says that it is offense of the homosexuality. That means same sexual relationships is a offense. Recently, the Supreme Court struck down and made it unconstitutional as it is violative of the fundamental rights of LGBTQ communities. What is LGBTQ communities? L means lesbian, G means gay, B means bisexual, T means transgender, Q means queer. And coming to the successful judgment regarding the homosexuality, that is the Navatej Johar versus Union of India 2018 case, which is the landmark judgment given by the Supreme Court decriminalizing the homosexuality. it dismissed its own judgment of the previous 2013, that is Suresh Kumar Kaushal case versus Union of India, in its Supreme Court judgment, which says LGBTQ community constitute only minuscule minority of the population. That's why there is no need to decriminalize homosexuality, which says in 2013. In this Navtej Johar versus Union of India, this 2000 judgment has been struck down and reversed and saying that homosexuality is decriminalized. And coming to uh, the country which first made the legal homosexual marriages as legal in the Asia is the Taiwan. And coming to the Joint Parliamentary Committee on Data Protection Bill. In this perspective, what we have to remember is what is parliamentary committees, what are their types, and what are the examples regarding this. Coming to the parliamentary committees are formed to constitute a matter and submit the report regarding that matter. The parliamentary committees are of two types. One is a standing committee, second one is ad hoc committee. The standing committee is a permanent committee, whereas ad hoc committee is a temporary. Ad hoc means somewhat temporary. And standing committees constitute every year or periodically because they are permanent, right? The examples are Public Accounts Committee, House Committee, and Business Advisory Committee. All these tasks are permanently needed. That's why these are the permanent committees. And coming to the ad hoc committees, when the task given to the committee has been completed, it can be dissolved then, or it can be overruled then. And coming to the examples, Committee on Draft 5-Year Plan, or Committee on Data Protection Bill, or Committee on Stock Market Scam. These are somewhat in a manner of changing conditions. That's why they only work for some days. After the completion of the task, it may left out. And coming to the New Development Bank, recently the NDB has made an agreement of giving $500 million loan to the government of India, and the NDB, the both are signed for this loan to develop a regional rapid transit system in the NCR Delhi. The total project costs up to $3,749 million, which also contributed by the AIIB and ADB and Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction. AIIB stands for Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank. ADB is Asian Development Bank. And coming to the NDB, NDB was formed on the matters of the BRICS countries, jointly funded by the BRICS countries, which is a multilateral development bank. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These five constitute BRICS countries. It was established in the 6th BRICS Summit. The NDB was established in 6th BRICS Summit and formed to support infrastructure and sustainable development efforts in the BRICS nations and other emerging economies. This is the objective of this. And the headquarters of the NDB at Shanghai, China. And in 2018, NDB received observer status in the UN General Assembly. That's why it is a important thing. And coming to the next, willow warbler. This species of the bird was in news because it was first sighted in India for the first time at the Vellayani Punchakari paddy fields of the Kerala. And these Vellayani Punchakari paddy fields are a birding hotspot in the Thiruvananthapuram, which harbors more than 213 bird species, which are domestic birds as well as the migratory birds. Coming to the scientific name of this willow warbler is Philoscopus trochilus. The native habitat of this bird is northern and temperate Europe as well as Palearctic region. The Palearctic region comprises the Asia which is north of Himalayas. That means the China, Mongolia, all this region. That is north of Himalayas and West Asia and the East Asia. West Asia and the East Asia. In the West Asia, only some parts are covered. In the East Asia, most of the parts are covered. And in Africa, north of the Sahara Desert. These all things comprise the Palearctic region. And coming to the migration pattern of this bird, during winter, they migrate to the sub-Saharan Africa, traveling a long kilometers distance. That's why the bird is one of the longest migrating small birds, and the bird weighs about 10 grams. Long wing feathers helped in flying long distances, and the warblers are difficult to identify due to their small size and change in the plumage twice a year. They change plumage twice a year. In the Velayani, Panchakari paddy fields, 7 species of warblers have been identified up to now. The most familiar species being Bliss reed warbler and the clamorous reed warbler. These are the species. And coming to the next thing, that is the dual cord blood transplantation or double cord blood transportation. The stem cells has been taken from the umbilical cord of the baby has been taken and stored in the cord blood banks. These cord blood banks, these stem cells are stored by using the liquid nitrogen, and this transplantation, thus this umbilical cord stem cells has been used in the transplantation for the patients who are suffering with the leukemia or lymphoma or other blood diseases. They also use it to treat the hematopoietic and genetic disorders. The hematopoietic disorders are relating to the blood cells, and genetic disorders in any case of hemophilia are like that. Leukemia is one type of cancer relating to the blood, and lymphoma also relating to the blood. And coming to the, these stem cells are sourced from the bone marrow. That means this type of stem cells are also extracted from the bone marrow as well as umbilical cord. These are the two sources. Why we are saying dual cord blood transplantation means this transplantation uses 2 units of tissues which match the cord blood. 2 units of tissues has been used for this transplantation. And coming to the Rajasthan government recently launches second maternity benefit scheme, and it is somewhat related to the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana. You have to see once the scheme of Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana was in news many times. Coming to the next thing, that is Enforcement Directorate. This is regarding the questioning of the Swapna Suresh, who is involved in the regarding this article. Kerala gold case over leaked audio. The ED bid to coerce accused regarding the Swapna Suresh case of the Kerala gold scam case. In this case, regarding the constitutionality of the Enforcement Directorate, you have to study. The Directorate of Enforcement or Enforcement Directorate, a law enforcement agency, which is responsible for economic intelligence agency for the enforcement of the economic laws and fighting the economic crime in India. The Enforcement Directorate is part of the Department of Revenue under the Ministry of Finance. This you have to remember. Enforcement Directorate under the Department of Revenue. It comprises officers from the Indian Revenue Service, Indian Police Service, Indian Administrative Service, as well as Indian Corporate Law Service. Apart from this, it also promotes its own cadre. And coming to the origin of the ED, on 1st May 1956, an enforcement unit was formed regarding the under the Department of Economic Affairs. Remember this, the first enforcement was unit was formed under Economic Affairs. Now it is under Department of Revenue. In this perspective, the enforcement unit formed in 1956 handle exchange control law violations under the Foreign Exchange Regulation Act of 1947, and it was renamed in 1957 as the Enforcement Directorate. Coming to the objective of the Enforcement Directorate, the enforcement of the two key acts is its objective of Government of India. What are the two acts is Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999 and Prevention of Money Laundering Act 2002. Before coming this act in 1999, there is a same act in 1974. This shows the legality of the act. Up to the implementation of this act in 2000, up to then it was managed the 1974 act, and the work relates to the prosecution and enforcement of the prevention of money laundering in the country. And coming to the directorate is under the administrative control of the Department of Revenue. That is the Enforcement Directorate primarily under the Department of Revenue administrative control. And under this, what it implements means two legality of these acts. The first act, the foreign enforcement, sorry. The Foreign Exchange Management Act. The Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is the and the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. These two acts, it will enforce us, right? This Enforcement Directorate. Regarding these two acts, the policy aspects are the FEMA is directly under the Department of Economic Affairs legality, whereas the PML Act under the responsibility of the Department of Revenue Act. That's why these two you have to remember. Although these two acts has been enforced by the Enforcement Directorate, which is under the Department of Revenue, whereas the FEMA Act under the legislative and amendment control of the Department of Economic Affairs. The ED has 10 zonal officers headed by the Deputy Director and 11 sub-zonal officers headed by the Assistant Director. And coming to the newspaper analysis. Coming to the newspaper analysis, the first article regarding the terror funding, Hafiz Syed gets another 10 years jail term, who was arrested in February regarding the FATF's legality of putting the Pakistan in the blacklist. And the Hafiz Syed, who is belonged to the Jamaat ud Dawa, he is the chief for this and supporting the terror financing. He was arrested by the anti-terrorism court in the Pakistan for the two more terror financing again. He is a UN designated terrorist. The USA also proposed $10 million bounty for his arrest, and later in February he was arrested by the Pakistan. And coming to the other things, apart from him, the other two terrorists has been also arrested regarding the links with this uh, Mumbai terror attacks. This comes as part of the Paris-based global money laundering agency, that is the FATF, has directed against the 27 guidelines to the Pakistan recently, in which the Pakistan has been implemented 21 only, and it is fulfilling in remaining tasks. That's why it is revolving around on the same things again. Not new has been proposed. This is only for the namesake. And coming to the next articles. This is the regarding the Rajasthan government launches maternity benefit for the second child. That means up to now the Pradhan Mantri Matru Vandana Yojana provides the maternity benefits for only for the first child. This is regarding the second child, Rajasthan government. And coming to this is the community card blood banking saves the child with aplastic anemia. Aplastic anemia. The child is suffering from the anemia, a type of anemia. Regarding the cord blood has been helped in saving her life. Regarding this, we discussed about the what is cord blood and what are the stem cells and what is the legality behind this. And coming to the next articles, I think is more important in these articles. Uh, Coming to this willow warbler, we have already discussed, which is a rare bird native of European countries. And coming to the digital India regarding the that is the Bengaluru Tech Summit of 2020. This Digital India mission launched 5 years ago has seen a regular government initiative now become a way of life. Once launched by the regular government initiative, now becomes the way of life, and especially for the poor and marginalized persons, said the Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his speech. The India is uniquely positioned a leap forward in the information era. And addressing the summit, the Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison also attended. India and Australia has unlimited possibilities of working together in the technologies like space research and critical minerals, 5G, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and much more areas. It is the technology that gave confidence to vaccinate our large population in a short period, he says. Under the world's largest healthcare scheme, Ayushman Bharat has also been implemented due to the effect of the technology, he says the Prime Minister. And regarding the another scheme, that is Swamita scheme, also possible in implementation of giving land titles to the millions of the rural areas and the rural poor people, only achieved through the technology like drones or unmanned aerial vehicles. And this will only bring to the end of many disputes regarding the land and property rights. This only by the ensured by the technology solutions. And regarding the cyber security, there is rapid increase in the technology and data protection as well as cyber security, important, very relevant for the today's world, the cyber security. He called on youth to play a big role in the devising robust cyber security solutions. Um, and coming to the other things, he highlighted the differences between the industrial age and the information age, whereas in industrial age, once the somewhat needs the best mover who want to did it, or some it needs somewhat the investment, all these things. But the technology, you have to produce the best thing at all based on the all existing the market. There are no boundaries are mattered here. The information you can go in any way. All about going beyond the boundaries in the technologies matters, apart from the differing from the industrial age, he says. Adding from the software to the drones to the UAVs, technology was redefining in the defense sector. Due to this technology, the defense sector has been also pushed up very far away. And the technology partnership program, the relationship between the India and Australia is going strength to strength in this perspective, and it will bring prosperity in the peace and safety in the region. And coming to the other things, that two countries were working together for an open, free, safe, and secure internet. They have signed a landmark Australia-India Technology Framework Agreement on cyberspace and technology, said the Prime Minister of Australia. Australia believed that technology helped the new science, medical research, and reduction of the carbon emission and tackling the global climate change. All these things will be possible by the involvement of the technology in a proper way, says the Australian Prime Minister. These are regarding the Digital India and the Bangalore Summit program. And coming to the other things, HC notice to the center regarding the same-sex marriage plea. We also discussed about this. And coming to the other things, the vaccine plan is ready. It was first prioritized to the age of 65 and healthcare workers who are in the contract of the vaccine. Next important thing is MBBS seat for the Corona warriors. That means in providing of the MBBS or BDS seats for the academic year of the 2021, there will be reservation for the Corona warriors who are in the front row of the protecting the Corona patients, putting their life at risk, said the Union Health Minister. Thus, the Union Health Minister approved a new category of selection and nomination of the candidates for the MBBS and BDS under the Central Pool Reservation category. This reserve only for the 2021 issued by the ministry. The Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Harshavardhan, on Thursday said this was a move aimed to dignify and honor the noble contribution made by the COVID-19 warriors. Yes, admitting it is a very good move. And coming to the other things, in the APEC speech, Xi Jinping touts China's economy as a base for the free trade. Regarding this, we discussed the APEC earlier. And coming to the other things, Oxford Economics cut India's 2025 growth average at 4.5%. Not that's important. Coming to the Moody's rating, and which narrows financial year 21 GDP outlook at 10.6%. Regarding this, the Moody's Investor Service has revised the GDP projection for India 2021 10.6% contraction with 11.5% drop estimated before, and now it is revised at 10.6%. And regarding the consumer confidence remains relatively low as the growth is improving day by day, but also confidence is low. And the estimates from the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy show that unemployment remains very high, although the urban and rural unemployment rates have been recovered from the peak April and May during the lockdown. These are the things regarding this, not that much important. And coming to the center is going to finalize the data protection law very soon. Then we will discuss about it. And PM Moods closer fintechs with the Luxembourg. The morning I have also uploaded the relationship between the Luxembourg and the India, and all this regarding the today's current affairs. Thank you.